be able to access. Otherwise, you have a lot to go through. You have now a total of 2 quizzes that you're supposed to have closed, because now we are moving to model 3, where it adds on the 3rd quiz. Maybe by the end of this week, I expect you to have done 3 quizzes. The quizzes are very simple, 10 objectives. If you have gone through the notes, or if you have attended the session, there is even no need of going through the notes. You should be able to go through those quizzes with ease. So module 3, that is data modeling. And when you come to progress, that's where our focus is, because that's where you're going to get the details. I will want you to go through each and read to detail what data modeling is and how it is sectioned. Obviously, as we said from the start, our sessions are hands-on. Obviously, I'm going to switch directly to hands-on. We go through the data modeling, but if you have never engaged with Power BI or Power Query, I will need you to do more detailed reading under progress. Then you go through those lessons. Yeah, I think it is taking long to load, but this is the section where you find those details. Let me load it from another PC. Now, those who have just joined, data modeling is a terminology, a process, a workflow we use in data analysis or data science of creating relationships between different data sets. So if you've joined later on, I was giving an example that if you are in operations and you're working on a data set, it doesn't mean that all the data, it is you who generates that data. If it is you who generates that data, still that data will be in different files. Now, the data modeling we are doing is what we always intend to do in Excel by running a VLOOKUP, by running an XLOOKUP. You're trying to create a relationship from one table or from one data set to another data set. But now when we come to Power Query, when we come to Power BI, we don't have, that is actually the basic way of creating relationships. But here we go to an advanced level of modeling this data, such that we should never come back again to tell our data that, you know what, the product ID from finance, you'll always match it with the product ID 2 from the operations data. And when you do that, you have already created a relationship. It means you're telling your data, whenever you want to pick a name and you have a code, please go to the other data, pick the name, come this side, pick the price, go the other side, pick whatever is there. Either it can be a contractual detail with a vendor, put them together because there is a column that was common to all those data sets, which helped you to create a relationship. As an employee, you have an employee number. That employee number is not there just to for the business to be smart that they have that that smart way of naming things. No, those codes we have in warehousing, where every SKU, every item has its own code. Those codes are there for a purpose. We don't want to find ourselves writing Sabiti as a name all through the data set, but someone in operation is going to write Sabiti with double I. that will completely change the way we are looking at that data set. It means those are two different things. But the moment we write 002 as an ID for Sabiti, it means that 002 all round, wherever we shall find it, wherever data set we shall find it, our data will always know this is Sabit Christoph I'm dealing with. That's why we use IDs, codes in storing large data sets. Otherwise, if we're only using names, it is prone to a lot of errors. And when you come now to the reverse working of it, when you come now to the data analyst, that's where now they use that as a gold for their data modeling. So dropping to, these are the sections we are going to look through. I'm just going to rush through, then we can go on to the hands-on we want to do. Today we want to make sure that we thoroughly go through all these 5 sections. Number 1 is the introduction to data modeling. It is exactly what I'm talking about. Understanding relationships. Then the star schema and the best practices we do when you're modeling data. What do you understand by data types and how do we do that formatting in Power Query? Last time we were touching a bit of it. That's why I think it prompted a lot of questions from those people we are trying out. But today I think we are going to answer most of the questions that were running through. I think I remember Victoria, Desmond, who else was trying out? Nathan, um, who asked many questions about relationships. Then obviously we are going to look at working with data tables. Uh, all data is always formatted in a table. After you have cleaned everything, we load these data sets in a table. How do we work with those tables? Then when you are missing some columns, how do you create them? We saw last time a snippet of it, of adding columns to your data set. That's exactly part of data modeling. Now going through, just giving it a few minutes, we just ran through this. Last time I told you on how if you want to read more about a lesson, we have a structured notes generator that will give you a breakdown of the format we have already redesigned in the backend. So on top of what we go through in the sessions, you should be able to get all the detailed explanation as you need. So I think, so last time I told you that you generate these tokens 10 times, you generate 10 tokens a day. So, okay, this is it. I'm just rushing through the concepts. Then the other things we shall go ahead and do a detailed reading. A data model, I've talked about that. It is the structured way of organizing and presenting data. How different pieces of information relate to each other. I have talked about that. Then, why do we do this? Obviously, there is performance. We do this because even in Power BI, to process and display data based on their models. So when you model your data, those who have used XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP, I will use that example so much because it is the best way how we do data relationships in the other version of Excel. That when you bring your data together in one data set or in one visual or in one interface, it becomes easy for you to start analyzing that data. People from finance, people from operations, you can testify on that. That when your data is still scattered in the different tables, you're going to create a lot of formulas, referencing, and at the end of the day, any break, it breaks the whole report. Then we create that accuracy. I've already told you that imagine we are using Sabiti as an ID throughout our data sets. And one of the tables, someone has been noting Sabiti with double I. Yet we know Sabit has to be single I. That data set is already broken. Now we are looking at two people with data set that is meant to be one. Then we create relationships. That one I've already talked about it, and it is exactly what we are on. Then normalization. Normalization, this is the technique we use in tables, that you split a bigger chunk of data set into different data sets, smaller data sets, such that they can be manageable. Just a moment. Sorry for that, guys. Normalization. I think I will explain this more. Normalization, the moment they give you a data set with 30 columns, 25 columns, I've had people tell me about that. Make sure that you as a data analyst split that table to make sure you split out the different smaller tables and release the other columns in the bigger data set. What do I mean? You have a table, it has a customer ID, it has a customer name, it has the address, it has phone number, it has, then you leave that, you go to product. The same data set, the same table has product ID, product name, the price, the price is repetitive. Wherever that product is, it is the same price. Maybe if the price changes. You have a data set maybe with vehicles. You have a vehicle ID, you have a vehicle number plate, you have a vehicle model, you have a vehicle year of manufacture. Most of that data set is repetitive. That whenever we shall find, let's say, Sabit Christopher, if we are having a column for age, his age is not going to change. It means you're going to have that age repetitive like 1,000 times. What are you eating up? That is storage, that is performance. So normalization means splitting. Just take it from me. Yeah, the definitions may be different. Here they are saying data set design technique that organizes tables to minimize data redundancy. Data redundancy is that what I'm talking about. The moment you realize that you have a column, that you're going to have a certain data set repeating itself several times, yet you can remove it and create another table and say, Sabit Christopher, he's aged 36. I will never repeat that. Every time I want Sabit Christopher, I will do a VLOOKUP and pick the 36. That is the relationship. Now, here in data modeling, we are going to see how we relate it with ease. Then whenever you need to swap into all these data sets, it is very easy so long as they are already related. That is normalization. Normalization, I repeat it, is having a bigger data set where you have, let's say, 50 fields, 50 columns. That's the way you have downloaded it from the database in your system. Split it to the different smaller tables, which we call dimension tables. We are going to look at that to make sure that you don't have redundancy, because every time something is repeated, then you're making it redundant and it is eating up your storage, it is eating up your performance. I've seen people in finance, they say when we open that Excel sheet, you can't do anything else, it is going to freeze my laptop, even though how good your laptop is. So yeah, the step by step explanation, you'll go through this, how we do definitions, and the practice. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Here you have a customer ID, you have a customer table. Just connect the customer ID from one table to another. Then it will be picking all the details from the customer table. In the customer table, what are you going to find there? You have a customer name, you have the customer spouse, you have the customer dependents, you have the address, you have phone number, you have the age, the height. You don't need all that data in the spreadsheet or the table that has your numerals, like the order quantity, the order revenue, the profits. Let that table that has those aggregations be separate. Put these customer tables separate. Make a relationship. Whenever this customer makes an order, I can ask my data, how many people have made an order that are in the age between 30 to 40? This customer will be part because my data is related. So I think I've made justice to some of the keywords you'll hear me talking about. Oh, now you're going to hear me talking about fact tables and dimension tables. What do they mean? So a fact table is where we find, let me put it simple. A fact table is a table where we find aggregated data. Like you have quantities, you have revenue there, you have costs there, you have profits there. Maybe you have the count of number of times a truck has made trips. You have maybe counts of incidents that have happened. Wherever portfolio you fall in, that is fact tables. Then what is a dimension table? A dimension table is the one that carries qualitative data. You have a customer table with their name, their spouse, their age. You can never add that. It is not quantitative. So those are dimension tables. Another way how you can differentiate the two. Fact tables are always updated. They are the tables that we always update when we are running entries. Every entry that comes in updates in the first fact table. But dimension tables, you can even take 10 years without updating that table. Just imagine you have a list of products or a list of SKUs in a company. If that company doesn't introduce another product, you'll never update the product table. If you never get a new customer, you'll never update a new customer. Okay, if you have a customer, will that, if the customer changes address, but if you have a customer that is capturing, you have a customer table capturing maybe the skin color, maybe for these days where people are using cosmetics, that you'll come back to change that now the customer is chocolate from black, right? But those are data sets we don't update regularly. It can even pass 3 months, even years without updating that data set. Now, those are the data sets we relate to as dimension tables. Yeah, I know you'll find definitions, but from layman's, how you can explain it to a little kid who has never done data analysis, that's the simplest way. And that's the way you will always simply understand it. Then, because this is the data we want to deal with. Now, before I rush into Power BI, we want to open these data sets. We just have a review. That's what we call data exploration. So we'll open them all. Then we look through one by one. We understand our data set before we start importing it into Power Query. So all of them have opened. We can start with the first one. Now, this one, the first one we are looking at, this is a sales data set. When you check very well, the name is AW Sales 2024. Now, looking at this data set, we have the order date, we have the stock date, we have now the customer key. This is the IDs I was talking about. You have a territory key. Instead of bringing the whole territory name, Eastern Colorado, maybe Northern Uganda, you just have 9. It means that the risk of having it misspelled is very low. Because we know that territory table, we don't update it on a regular basis. So these are territory keys. Here we have the order line item. Then here we have the order numbers. Here we have the product key. Here we have the order quantity. Now, I'm going to highlight some of them just for our visibility. So when I highlight these, the customer key, the territory key, and the product key. When we come to a sales data set, which we have already called a fact table, the table that you'll always find being updated on even a minute basis, we call those fact tables. Just note that. Now, when you find there a column with a key, it means that this column has its own table where it is a primary key. Now, we have primary key and foreign key. Note these two words, primary key and foreign key. A primary key appears in a dimension table where the details of that key are logged. Let's say if it is a customer key, it means when we go to the customer table, we shall find there that key with its details, customer name, address, da 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 da. It means that in this table where it is, the fact table, it is called a foreign key because it is in a foreign land. I will just make sure that I split it very low such that we get it. So we call it a foreign key when it is in the sales data set. But when we go to, just a moment. When we go to customer table, this is the customer table I was talking about. Don't mind, we shall not save the changes. We need it raw as it is. So when you look at the customer table, already what I was talking about, we have customer key, we have a prefix, Mr., Mrs., Doctor, we have first name, last name, birthday, all these details. You can imagine all these details if they were in the other table, repeating themselves every time the order would come through. That is what we find that you're having fire. You're having a data set that you open and you first go for T before it opens. Because it is too huge for nothing. You're making data redundant. Now here, we are just taking the 11000 to represent all these columns. Now in this table it is, in its mother table, here they call it a primary key. But when we go the other side in the sales data, this column C is called a foreign key. You just need to note those terminologies because they help you when you're modeling data. When you start modeling data, it becomes very easy for you to maneuver through. Okay, I think that is well taken. Now let's go to another table. This is the territory table. So you see here, territory, we have the sales territory key, where they are just numbered. But remember, the 9 we looked at the other side, it has a continent here, which is Pacific. It has a country, which is Australia. It has a region, which is still Australia. But the other side, we are just representing it as 9. It means that we are achieving a lot by just using a 9, which just takes like one bit in storage capacity. But imagine that all these characters are being saved several times the order comes through for this territory. So now name them even the rest. We have the product table, which is this. Now the product table, you see that these are the things you log and you don't change again. Because if you're producing product 214 with its subcategory, let's say 31, it has a code of which that code will never change. It has a name, the name will never change. It has a model. It has a description which will not change. The whole of this data is just saved in one table that we don't update always. which we call a dimension table. I think right now I have clearly explained what is the difference between fact table and dimension table, and I've explained to you what's the difference between a foreign key and a primary key. So here, this product key in its own mother table, it is called a primary key. But when we go the other side in sales data set, this one, the product key here, it comes and stands here as a foreign key. You'll find those terminologies in the notes. So I think all has been said. I'm going to close this. I think we have done the analysis. I will close this. Yeah, we are not saving to make sure that we keep the data set in its original state. And remember, we said that it is not good to import data in another tool like Power BI when that data set is open somewhere. And sometimes Power BI will tell you there is an error, we can't use that data because it is open. So I will close all. Now, this was a subcategory. No, this was a category where what we had the other side, it goes ahead and they split it further to another category. Actually, we have another one which is subcategory. Yeah, this. So you see this, you have a category, but which appears in different SKUs. Let's say you have a category 1, but it appears in different SKUs, mountain bikes, road bikes, and touring bikes. Then when you go to 2, you find handlebars. Like, yes, also, if we took this into a product table, it would be something that we are going to do repetitive, make data redundant. That whenever there is motorbike, we are repeating everything. That's why we come out and normalize this one in its separate table by using just the codes or the keys. Now, in this table, the product category key, it stands here as a foreign key. And this one stands here as a primary key because the data set or the description that follows is relating to that subcategory. That's why it stands as a primary key. The category stands as a foreign key because this is not its mother table or its mother data set. So I'll close this, make sure that we keep it in its original state, and that, oh, there are many, and this one. Now, what else do we need to note before we start exporting? What is the format of our data sets? The format of our data sets is a CSV. So it means that if we are importing, we are going to import CSV. So I'll go to you can open a blank report because that's what we are looking at. That is in Power BI. And here we have a quick pick of data sets or reaching out to the sources. Then there is get data in the transformation module, in the data module, sorry. So get data, if you come to more, you get all the options, but still the CSV we are looking for is here. So the moment you want to import it as an Excel workbook, you will not pick it. You will not find it in that folder. The folder will tell you that, let's try it. The folder will tell you that it is blank. So if I come to this folder and I copy the address, that is the easiest way you can do it rather than navigating the whole day looking for the address here. So paste the address here, enter, it will open. But you see that when it opens, it shows me that it is blank. But ideally, we know this folder has data sets. It means we are trying to import a wrong format or a wrong extension of the data set we carry or the way how it is saved. It means that it is not a workbook, but it is a CSV. That's why we first checked the data set. And if you don't have these extensions here, how do you activate them? When you come to this folder, you open the Explorer and you come to these dots. If you have expanded it, obviously you'll come to these dots. There is where we have properties. Now under properties, there is where what I was looking for, where we hide extensions, where you see AW territory. I'm sorry, I may not get that right now, but we shall have to drop it. So sometimes you may not see the .csv. If you don't see that, then you can always get properties of that file. And when you get properties, you'll always see here the type, the file type that it is saved in. You see the type of file is Microsoft Excel, separated version, which is CSV in short. So you can change it, but I don't recommend you to change, because sometimes when you change it, changes the data set, the format it is. So you should always pull it in the format it is. That's what I was trying to show you. If you don't see the .csv, so I will go ahead and pick text to CSV. We do the same to the address where it is. You see now, we are trying to pick CSV and it was automatically showing me the CSV is present. So here you'll go ahead and pick one by one. Yeah, you may not pick all of them at once because they are not of the same format. The only files that have the same format, it is the cells 2023 and cells 2024. So we shall pick one by one. So you go ahead. So this is it. Now, when it is in CSV, most of the times you leave the default formats here. Last time I explained this, if you have a different delimiter, you can change, but Power BI or Power Query will always pick the default as detected from your data. So here they will always give you 200 rows, not to make sure that it doesn't load infinite. They just give you 200 rows. But if you want to do the entire data set, you'll do it. You can do it, but sometimes it may take long to load and it freezes or delays you. Mostly if you're picking data from a cloud or online. Then when you say do not detect data types, they are going to load this container of data. They will not give it headings. In other words, the headings, they are going to give it column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, because you said they shouldn't detect data types. There is where you come to use that. Maybe when we are doing our project, I will show you maybe some of the data sets where this is required, but it is always minimal. You can always, it is not something that you'll always want to use. Because when you use this, it drops these headers. You see, it drops those headers and makes them column 1, column 2, column 3, column 5, up to the last column. It means that you're going to do your own promotion of headers, detect your own. Now imagine if you're combining these more than 5, which means this heading will be appearing more than 5 in the middle there. So filtering and cleaning is another hassle. But there are some data sets where you need to do it such that you do your own origin of which one is the heading. So I will put this back to default based on the first 200 rows. Don't change the file origin. This file origin, there are many file origins here, some for different countries, depending on how they store data. Don't change, just leave it in the format it is. Then I'll go ahead and I will say transform data. When we say transform data, we are putting this into a Power Query editor. But when you say load, it is going to load automatically. But remember, even if you load it, you can again take it back to the Power Query editor by clicking the transform. I'll show it to you, it is in the other interface. By clicking on this, it is under home transform. Just a moment. Yeah, it's here. It's here in this interface, the transform. So we go back to our Power Query editor, which is supposed to be on the top. Now, this is it. I'm not going to rename this because everything is clean. That's why I never expected us to clean data here, because we did the cleaning last time. So I will go ahead now, pick more. Now, if you want to pick more without leaving this Power Query editor, just come here. You see there is recent sources. So you can pick the recent sources. But now if your recent source was just a file, it is going to pick that same file. So if it is a web, you'll find the web there. You go back on the web maybe and pick another table. So here we are going to use this new source. We click on CSV. It is going to open us. Now, since it is now used to the folder we had opened before, we are no longer searching for it. It is opening automatically. Now I'm going to do this quickly by loading them. And we are going to load all of them with a default. Here it is. Then load that. You see now it is not giving you transform or load because I'm already in the Power Query editor. So I load another one, CSV. So I'm going to load this quickly. Maybe in case you have any question, please process it. You can put it in the comment. I will read it out as we load all the files. So remember, when you're loading these files, if you have you need to clean and do all that messy. You can do one by one, or you can load all of them and start cleaning one by one as you approve them of. This is done, this is done, this is done. But right now, I'm just loading everything in Power Query editor. So we still have 4 more to go. 3. If you have any question, you can unmute. We have like 1 minute more to go to load all this. Then sales 2024. Someone else may ask, why didn't we load all of them at once? We would have loaded all of them at once if they were the same format. And in that loading them at once, we don't look for the files. We go directly to folder. We look out for folder, not CSV. So it takes you to a folder and you load the whole folder at once. But the challenge with that is that it may come in with difficulties where data will want to combine. So we do this mostly when we are doing combining. But if you are not combining them, I would prefer each file is loaded separate, such that when it gets an error, it gets an error on its own and you sort it separate from the others. So we have 7 now loaded. These are our files. I'm going to peruse through these files quickly because that's the check you're supposed to do as someone who has done data transformation. Let's start with the customer data set. You're just looking at the data types, and when you check this side, you see in the applied steps, they have already changed for us the data type. But remember, we have to check whether really we need that data type as how this has been detected. Now, let's start. The primary key in the customer data, the customer key, do we need to have it as a number? Because this is a number, 123 is a number data type. Do we need to have it as a number? If someone can unmute and I get a response. Do we need to have it as a number or not?
We don't need to, because I don't think we shall ever need to sum it up for any reason. It's just meant to identify the customer.
Okay, yeah, that's true, and that's perfect. Anything you will never think of aggregating, let me use the word aggregating, such that it topples all the aggregations, dividing, multiplying, adding, subtracting. There is no way we shall ever be in our analysis and we want to add the key, customer key 11000 and customer key 22000. There is no day we shall ever want to do that. Be it like phone numbers. There is no day you're going to add your phone number and my phone number and you get a total. The only thing you can do is counting them to have a 2 or a 3. So that's why you have always to take this back to text, such that it doesn't confuse you when you're doing your analysis. Because when you're doing your DAX and measures, it will always come through as if you want to add it. When you drop it in a table, it will always automatically add itself, yet it is not supposed to be aggregated. Now, there is this note you get. Change column type. Do you want to replace the current? Because the step that is already there it was changing data type, and I'm also changing data type. Now they're asking me, this change you're doing, do you want us to aggregate it part of this step, or you want to create your own step? Sometimes you may want to create your own step such that when it is an error, you can always go back to the previous. But if you want to reduce on the number of steps you're getting here and you're well sure what you're doing, you can always replace the current step. It will be part of this, such that when you come to the DAX here, you'll see here that the column, the customer key has been changed to text. I don't know whether my screen is lagging because I'm looking at my screen on another laptop. It is lagging. I don't know how you're interfacing that on your end. Does the cursor move with what I'm saying?
It's okay.
Okay. So you see, when you did that replace, here there was an int like this one, integer 64.type. It changed it to text key. So it means that we are converting it to key. Now let's go ahead and review all the others remaining. Now all the others remaining, we have the prefix here, we have, now, you see when you look at the quality, they are telling us that there are some which are empty. And even when you look at the gray part here, it is showing us that there are some that are empty. But when we look at the type of data that is in this column, really, do we need to update the nulls and give it a certain value? No. Because I don't want to start predicting who is a missed and who is a misses and who is the others. So, not to embarrass, there are some data types we don't replace. Or if you want to make sure that it is replaced and it is going to be an important data you're going to use in your reporting, put there like a word like others. You have seen others in reports, meaning like a big chunk of categories that were not defined. So that's how you can take it to be. Then let's quickly run through this. These are all text. You see ABCD. This is a calendar because it is a birth date. So that's why it is a calendar. I'm scrolling to the right. Gender, text. All this is text. Total children. This is it is summable. This can be aggregated. What every customer, how many children they have. If you want to sum up how many children your customers have, maybe you want to pass an incentive, you want to buy them go back to school, it means you will sum this. So you leave this as how it is. Others are ABC. Then annual income is 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now, that is an exploration you can do. Whatever we have done here, you can do it even less than 15 seconds. If your data set is already clean. Then let's come to product category. These keys have to be taken back to text. You will not take a risk of leaving, I've added a step here, but it is okay. You see now, when you add a step, it stands as loan. And when you go back to the other step, you'll see the product key was an integer. Then here, the product key is a text. So that's what I was talking about. Then let's go to the product subcategory. Make sure that all those keys are always text. Now, if I want to change more than one, press a control, select the other one, because I want to change them at once. Go to transformation, then you come here on data type, whole number, change this to text. In case if you're changing more than once, replace the current. So let's run through the product. This is a key. This is a key. They are supposed to be text. Coding is running. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I will make it snappy because I don't want to start struggling with battery. But yeah, that's it. Now, hope I'm audible again. What we are saying is we are doing data exploration to make sure that every data set is right the way how it is supposed to be. So I'll go to the sales data set. You change all the IDs or everything that shows that this is meant to be a key. You change it to make sure that it is even the order number, it is already in text. That one I don't need to look at it. The order line item, this also. So all this is going to be changed to text, and we'll replace that. So I'm doing the same for 2024 since these data sets are the same. This one, and the order line item and the product key. So change this to that. Then we come to territory. When we come to territory, the territory key goes to text. Kawa. Now, when all is done, we are going to load, close, and load. I think I explained these three buttons last time. Apply the changes. It will save the changes, but we shall stay in the Power Query editor. The Power Query editor will remain open. Maybe I want to do some other things, but I want to save the changes so far I've worked on. Then another thing is saving the changes you have done in a short while. Like in a difference of 5, you're asking why is it the order line item is being changed to text. Now this order line item is, I have created an order that is assorted with 4 items, 4 SKUs. I've created an order with 4 SKUs. I want a TV, I want a charger, I want a laptop socket, maybe I want a mouse. These are 4 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, that is the order line item they are talking about. There is no way we shall ever want to add 1 and 2. Maybe just to describe what it meant. So we are right to put it to text, such that when we are doing arrangements, the other side maybe want to pop them out. Which items are always booked as number 4? Which items are always booked as number 3? Something like that. But it may not carry a lot of significance. We are changing it to text because we shall not need to. Now I'll go ahead and close and load. Now, when I close and load, which is always close and apply, you'll realize now our data, will have loaded in the data section. Then here, I remember explaining the report view, the table view, which we call the data view, the model view. Now, today, this is the section we are on. So when we go to the data view, you'll see that every table you click on, you view your data perfectly, very well, clean, no messy stuff that we are supposed to go back to transformation and remove. In case you want to go back, someone asked that question during the week, please always click on transform data. Click on transform data, it will always take you back. So when you say transform data, it will always open the Power Query editor. And in the Power Query editor, remember under the queries, you can click on any table you want to deal with. I think that is done. So now when we come to the model view, Power BI will always automatically detect those columns that are related to each other, and it will create for you relationships immediately. You see, These relationships created, we are not the ones who have created them. They created automatically because the same key header is in this table and it is in the other table as a foreign key. It is here as a primary key and it is the other side as a foreign key. So it means that Power BI or Power Query reads the two, that there is product category key here, there is product category key here, and it matches the two together. So here, that's why we see all this is interlinked together. Now, when you come to relationships, you see all the relationships created here, that product category, product subcategory, it linked with this. It linked and it is active, but what made it active, if I double click on this, or I say edit, it will show me that the product category, key here and here. But remember, in one of the tables, it is a primary key, and in another table, it is a secondary key. So since this is a subcategory, here it stands as a foreign key. But since here it is the product key and the table is product key, it stands as a primary key. So when you link this and this, that is a relationship. Now the cardinality I was telling you, you see here it is linked as many to one, but we will also have one to many. So one to many and many to one, it is just an interchange. But I will also explain that. It is just an interchange, that the other one is on top, it has many, and this one is down, it has one, then it is one to many. What does one to many mean? It means that here a category can appear more than once. Like you see these ones are appearing more than once, but here one, which is a bike, is appearing only once, which is one, and here it is appearing many times. That is the many to one. If I changed this, if I wanted to interchange them, and I changed this to product, let's say, if you changed the order, this one is going to change to one to many. Sometimes it may be like insignificant, one to many, many to one, it is sometimes the same. But the direction, the cross filter direction matters. Yes, it is single, but where is it directing? Is it directing from here to there or from here to here? So we shall look at that in visuals, because right now I may not explain it better and you understand it. This arrow facing downwards and this arrow facing upwards, sometimes it may look the same. But when you're doing your visuals and you're creating filters the other side, they become different. The direction matters. And the direction has to be always from the parent to the child. Since this is the child, this direction was meant to be one to many. Actually, one to many is always the common one. So it means that when I delete this, if I deleted this, oh, I have to cancel here. I have to cancel here. If I right clicked on this and deleted it, it has gone. So if I want to change the arrow, which means I'll drag this and put it on top of this one. You see now the other table, why the other table is supposed to be, just a moment. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. The parent being on top and the child being at the bottom. You see now it is one to many. If I say save this, you see the arrow changes from here to there. Did this, yeah. Oh, sorry. The arrow is one direction, but what I wanted us to look at is the order on the way how it appears. Obviously, it keeps interchanging, but we shall not go into the depth of that. But that's the reason I've explained. I will explain more to that when we are in visuals creating filters. Now, let's delete let's delete all. You see now this one is not captured because maybe the heading, you see now this is a sales territory key, which is in territory. But when we go in the sales data, this sales data, they have it as a territory key. So sales key and sales territory key don't match. That's why you see them being different. Now, there is another monster we are supposed to deal with. We are not supposed to have these two tables independent. These two tables have to be joined together. And that's what takes us back to transformation. Someone to unmute and tell me what we are going to do to put these two tables together. How do we call that? How do we term it?
Appending.
Yeah, we are appending them. In other words, we are putting them one on top of the other. We are not merging, we are appending them. So we want to append these two. But we have to confirm all the columns are the same, which we confirmed. So we are going to do appending. I will come here. You see where appending is home at the extreme where there is combine. You come to append. And I want to append as a new, such that I leave them independent. So I want to append it as a new query. It will create a new query here at the bottom. Yeah. So since there are only two, I don't even have to do three or more. I'll have to come here and select the second table, which is 2024. So the moment I do OK, it is going to create for me a new table here, and I will call this all underscore cells. You know the reason why I put underscore? We don't leave spaces when we are naming tables. It may be okay, but at some point it will limit you. Now, when when I've created a new one, which means I may want even to hide these, not to appear in my model. You can go the other side in the model and hide them. Even you can disable them from refreshing in your report, which means when I'm refreshing my report, they shouldn't refresh, but they can be loading in the background. You can do all this to optimize performance because you now need only this to load. Let me load, close and load. Then we go the other side in the model. And yeah, we have another table here. It will always go on the right. So we have another table here, which means this table I can hide it. Then also I can hide. You see that you can even right click and say hide or delete from model. Hide means that you still look at it, but it will be visible. So let me delete it from model. Deleting it from model doesn't mean that you're deleting it for good. Obviously, yeah, they are notifying me. The query will remain, but its data won't be directly loaded in the model because now we are directly loading all cells. So I will say yes, that's what I want. Even this one, we delete it because we don't want to look at it in the model. We just need to unclutter this space. So we go ahead and delete it. Remember, when you delete, even it goes with its relationships. So we are going to create new relationship. Now, why do we call the common model as a star schema? You will see that in the notes. Star schema means that you have few fact tables and you have more dimension tables. And when we are designing it or we are putting it together for us to easily understand it, we put the dimension tables on the sides and we put the fact table in the middle. Because remember, every arrow will be shooting from the middle to the extreme ends. So when you put it this way, at the end of the day, it becomes like a star. You have something in the middle that is distributing in all corners. That's why it is called a star schema. A star schema is when you have few fact tables and you have more of the dimension tables. So this is our star schema. Let's look at I'm going to delete all the relationships. Select all of them here and delete all of them. Delete. Here we go. And then we close. Then you can also do the auto detect. Auto detect will always detect for you relationships. You see now it has found new relationships. It will come and log them here automatically. But I want to delete this, then we try to do the manual way. So let me close that. Now you see everything is bare knuckle. Now let's start. Let's start with a key, the foreign keys here. The foreign keys here we have territory key. The territory key goes to the territory. So you drag the, now even if the names are not the same, when you create a relationship, it will always not show an error here. Let me try to pick something else like. So sometimes when you pick something else, it shows you an error here that maybe they are not related, something like that. So this is sales territory, this is territory key. I'm matching them together, many to one. Don't mind even if it is one to many, many to one, it is okay. We shall separate that. Why is it by default active? The relationship is made active when there is no any other relationship that is created between those two tables. You can deactivate it. When you have made it active, you can still deactivate it. Deactivating it means you deprioritizing it whenever you're doing your analysis. It is deprioritized. I think I'm going to shrink this such that we can have a visibility. So when it has a thick line, when you click on the line, obviously you see what columns are being related. When you double click on this, it opens the editor. Then when you want to delete it, you right click and delete. Now a 1 here means that this, whatever we are linking or relating, it appears once, then here it appears many times. And this many is always meant to be on the fact table. The moment you have the star on the dimension table, meaning that you haven't done enough cleaning. You have to go back in transformation and clean them. That's why I was saying the many-to-many cardinality is not always common. Now let's, actually since it is a star schema, we start from the fact as we spread out. Now here on the customer IDs, we have a customer key, and here there is a customer key. Drag this and drop. Even if you drag and just drop blindly, it will bring for you this table. Then you correct yourself in this table. This is the error I was telling you. The relationship has cardinality many to many. This should only be used if it is expected that neither columns have customer key and that have a unique value. You can read through the error. But when you do blindly, you come here and look out for the customer key where it is. The moment you click on it, the other one disappears. And we go ahead and save. Then let's do, now this is a product category which links to this. Does it have any key in the fact table? No. It means that doesn't link to that. It links to the product key. So the product key has a key called subcategory. So when we come to subcategory here, the subcategory links to that. So we link the two subcategories. Then this, the category is here, this links to that. And there we go. Now you see that these tables, they don't directly link to the fact table, but they will have a relationship up to the fact table. Let's say this is the child, this becomes the parent, the other one becomes the grandfather, and the other one becomes the grand. There is that relationship in that lineage. So it means that at some point when we are analyzing, we can pick here the category name and come and pick here maybe the order item or the sum or the cell, and it will automatically give us the analysis. Yet the relationship is so long. That's what you have to do in modeling. Then what else are we linking? The product to the fact. So it has a product key. If I'm not seeing it here in this table that is short, it may be long with many columns. You can always drop it blindly. But when this opens, check yourself. This is the product key. I'm looking for the product key, which is this. Just like a shortcut to just quicken on what you're doing. So go ahead and save. Now, when you realize that we are having a relationship round, now there is something else that which I want to maybe close with. There is something else we call a calendar table. A calendar table should always be part of your model. We don't use these dates that are always in the fact tables to run filters and all that. Yes, they will run, but what if you want to analyze by name of the day of the week, let's say Monday, Thursday, you will not have it here. What if you want to analyze by quarter? What if you want to analyze using fiscal year or fiscal year setup? That in your company, your fiscal year starts in March. In other companies, it starts in July. My data set has to look at quarter one as April to June, not as July to October. Those differences, when they come in, you have to create a calendar table that sums all that. Now, we have done our data model here. What is missing is a calendar table because we need it. So if we go back now to, let's first test it out. If we go to our visuals and we pick, let's say, a matrix, this is our matrix. And we go to the subcategory. Where did we have the, here, the subcategory, and we pick out this as a category name. We put it here. Then we go to the fact table, which is the cells, and we pick out the order quantity. And we put here the order quantity under values. You'll see that it will clearly sum up and give you that accessories you sold this, bikes you sold this, and clothing you sold this. But remember, we can also bring the subcategory, which was here in products. No, here. The subcategory name, and we can put it under there. So when we put it under there, that's where now we create a drop. We have seen this in pivot tables. So that's where you create a drop. And when you come to this and make it tabular, if we change this, I know we are going to do a lot in visuals. This one doesn't need to scare you. Let's say if you are creating a P&L or a statement, you remember you have this format. So it means you can go to format and change your table. So, and change this to tabular. You see how it will appear. So it means that here you can easily analyze or display. These are accessories, these are bikes, these are clothing, and split in those quantities. And even the arrows here drilling down and up, you can drill down and have it to that level. You can drill it down up to the other level. You can just play with your data. You can drill it to a tree of that kind, depending on what your audience you want them to see. But that was just a highlight. Now, I want to go and break the relationship, and we see what is going to appear on this table. Now, I want to break the relationship. Remember, we picked from this table, we have picked something from this table, we have picked something from the fact table. But if you didn't have the relationship, let's say this relationship was not there, let's go back to our data and see how it is giving us. It is already gone. It is already telling us can't determine relationships between the fields you're trying to use. Automatically, it is telling you can't do that. So, in case let me change this to that, and I remove this. Now, in case we are picking here the subcategory name and we want to put it with the column. Can't even allow. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted you to see. Now, in case there was no relationship, this is what happens. When you look at the data, you see that every category has been given the total. Because what Power BI knows, it knows about the total of the order items, but it doesn't know the split of how these quantities are split. Why? Because there is no relation when it has cleaned up and it has gone back to the default of each category being given its own quantities. So that is what I can explain on that. Now let's go and create, in the few minutes remaining, let's create ourselves a calendar table, and we see what does a calendar table give us. Now, going back to the model, creating a calendar table, you can create it, you come and say, we are creating a new table. Now, creating a new table, I'm going to first create it from basics, then I show you how easily you can go to AI and it creates for you a calendar table with ease. Now, I will name this as calendar. I hope it is clear on your end. I was trying to see whether I can enlarge this. Now, here I will say calendar. Remember, I told you that when we come to Power BI, use the space the way how you want to make sure that your DAX is clean. We are going to look at this in the next module. Now, when we are creating, go back to data here, and I come to calendar, it will have created here. You see it is starting from January 1910, of which it is too much data because 1910 is so much, but there is an option of, let's go back to calendar. There is now an option of, when you're creating calendar, if you use now the other, I wanted to tell you, most of the cases, when you have your data, you'll want it to automatically pick the maximum date and the minimum date in your data set. That is the fact data set. Now, in your fact data set, we shall have to cancel this first. Then we'll go to our fact data set. The table we have, just go under table, then click on cells. This is we have two dates, and this is the purpose why we are creating a calendar table, because when will you ever filter these two at once? So there is an order date and there is a stock date. So stock date obviously comes first, that you stock first before you order, which means this column is the one having a minimum date, and this one may have a maximum, but we can go with the stock date. Now, when you're creating a calendar table and you have already analyzed that the maximum date can always come with the order date or the stock date, you'll always come to your calendar. If you don't use calendar auto, then you want to use calendar, the calendar function. What is my minimum? I will say, so this I have done. It means that it will keep going to my data set and evaluate and pick for me the minimum date. Then if I do comma, remember I'm trying to make sure that I create my DAX with space. I don't want to put it in one line. Then I'll say maximum, open, then look out for, you can even start typing the name of the table and it will bring the other options. Even if you type, let's say you start typing with stock, it will bring the stock date on top. You see all cells, then stock date. Then I'll close this. Then you close the other bracket that is at the top of the calendar, close that and enter. So now the moment I enter that, you see it brings our date as 2001. Because it has gone to that data set and it has found the minimum date is 2001. And the maximum obviously will be at the bottom, which is 16th December 2003. But the auto will only be a stretch even of 20 years, which you may not need. Now, here you can go ahead now and start adding columns. Adding column over date, adding column over day, start days, year, blah, 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 name them. But when you're working with productivity, you don't need to hustle. Sometimes you can have your calendar data, your calendar table or code saved somewhere. You always have to pick it and reuse. Let's say me, I have mine that I always reuse. We shall pick it, then I take you through on how to explain it. Now, this is my calendar table that I always use. So this, I will copy that code the way it is without changing anything, then bring it and update it here. Copy, paste, update it here. Now you see mine was reading a trip mileage, which now we have to change to our own. Then I can explain for you how those ones are created. So here, our minimum is going to be on stock date. Actually, even you can type date, and it brings the other tables with dates. Here, stock date, all stock dates. We are going with stock, not sales. This. Then even this, we change this to date, then stock date. Yeah, boom. Now, you see, this is the calendar function we had done before, but we have nested it in another function called add columns on the top. So when you nest it in add columns, you start now giving the heading of a column, then giving the format, date, then you give it the format you want it to be. DDD, 4Ds, it gives you the name of the day of the week. So all this, just learn the way how they format it. Day of the week, we use weekday. Bring the date, then the date is always this column that you have created by using the calendar. Then day of the month, it is day, then that. Week, a lot. Even you can add the fiscal year and explain that my fiscal year starts in in April, and it will be added. Now, the moment I check this as approved, it is going to add for me all those columns. Name, day of the name, day name, day of the week, day of the month, week, name them. Now, after I've created your calendar table, I know you're going to practice this. But before we go further, I want to go to AI. I show you how you can create your own with your own explanation before we go to the model. Or we first go to the model before our battery goes off. Here, let's go to the model and we look at our calendar table that has been created. Here we bring it and we make sure what is going to be our primary date we shall be considering so much. That maybe will be the order date. I will bring the order date and merge it with that order date and date. Many to one, perfect. So we go ahead and save. But remember, we also have the stock date. Now, when I bring the stock date, which is this, and put it also on date, remember now this is the second relationship we are having on this table. Automatically, the second relationship is not active. Just this is sarcastic. It is like if you can have two wives. There is a wife, they say, Mchara Mukuru is the active. Then this one is not active. And you can't make two active. So, which means you leave it like that. The moment you force it, it will give you an error. There is an ambiguous path between these two because you are trying to make two active relationships pointing to the same data. So I will leave it not active. And how do you tell that this is not active? You'll always see dotted lines. But this doesn't mean that you can't use it in filters. It only means that you want the relationship, but it is not going to be active. Now, if we go back to our visual, This time I can, now if I want, I can add here the months. Wait a minute, I'm moving this. Okay, if I want, I can add here the month. So I can go to my calendar table this time and pick out the name of the month here. I bring it here. You get this? And now this is month name of the month. Yeah, this is it. Let me add here. Okay, I'll change this to matrix. Do we have a relationship that is already okay, let's have something else like a column chart, and we have here the day name. In the x-axis, we'll bring our no, not in tooltips. It has to be on the y-axis. So now we are hitting a snag, and there is a problem because it is showing us blank, yet ideally this is never blank. It means somewhere we need to get right our settings. But before we go further, what I need to tell you before I forget, when you have a date table, we can always go to the model and mark our calendar. We are supposed to mark this as a date table, such that okay, it's here. Yeah, here you go. So mark as a date table. Why do we mark as a date table? That's such that Power BI can get that intelligence of starting doing like month to date, year over year, month over year. It can always work with ease. Obviously, when we do those DAX, when we reach there, this is the setting you should not always forget to mark as a date table. So I will come here and mark this as a date table, then come and say, choose the column. I'm choosing this column as my date. And here it's already, and I go ahead and save. So it will be marked as a date table. I'll go ahead and do done. Now, I know the other things, we shall come and sort them later, but I want to show you how you create your own code. Someone was asking a question. I want to look at that question. Okay. I think nothing in the chat. Fine. Okay, now let's drip into AI and try to ask some simple question. The way how you can always create your calendar table with ease, and it tailors the way how you want it. So here, even if you're using a free version, don't mind. This is something simple that will not push a lot of messages. And whether I also do one-on-one on teaching people on how to prompt AI. It is the mode of the day with productivity, so you need to know how to use AI. So create a calendar table. Using calendar auto. Now, you see, when I do this, there is no other tool that uses calendar auto apart from Power BI. AI will automatically know what you need and the default of columns that you may need in your calendar table. So the moment I run this, it is going to create for me the calendar table I need. So you see, creating and even it shows you the steps how you're going to do it. Okay. Now here it is telling you that the calendar automatically scans your model and creates a date range covering your data. Add columns, it explains to you even the other functions which we have been talking about. Even it gives you steps on how you have to go through that. And I've shown you how you mark a table as a data table, which I've given you I've told you the purpose on why we do that. When you start doing time intelligence, month over month, date over previous year, previous day, all that, you must select your calendar table as a date table. Then, now this is what it gives us. Yeah, it may have changed something. It has created a variable, which is a base, variable base, and it is giving us that. So I'm going to copy this. We'll go ahead and replace it. This side. I'll come to my Power BI. Then you come to our calendar table, you click on it. This is the code. Now, if you want, you can save this code somewhere, or you can create another table, but I don't want to create another table. We shall go with this. So control that, control V. The moment you don't get reds here, it means your DAX has no errors. The moment you get reds here, you have to check the line it is giving you to check for the errors. Now you see here, it is giving us all that, but let me first accept this. Then we add some other things. So there we go. Obviously, the visuals you had created will first flop off because you have lost a relationship, or you'll need to regenerate again or pick again, because now this was in a different table. Now it is called something else, which means now it is called month name, not name of the month, as how it was before. You see, actually, this one automatically picks. Now, ideally, we are here right now. Let me flip something on visuals. You see, our data here is descending by the quantities. But if you want to sort by the month, you always come here and do the sorting from here. So you sort, then you pick out month name. Instead of it doing by quantities. Now, when you do with month name, now this that was descending, here we are doing ascending. So for it is going to do alphabetic. April, August, December. It is alphabetic. It's what it knows. How do we sort out this? It is just a simple trick you can do. Always go back to your data set, data view. Look out for the calendar, which is the dim date, which they call the dim date. We had called it a calendar. Select that month name. The moment you select it and come and here, look out for sort by. That's why in your calendar table, there will always be a month number. So we need to sort it by using a month number. So you'll come sort by, use a month number. Look out for a month number like this. The moment you do that sorting, it means now they are going to look at January as number 1, not as April number 1. So the moment you go back to your data set, it will have already rearranged itself. January, February, that way. So that is the little trick you can always use to sort, but we are going to do all that in the visuals. Now, to someone who is in finance, who feels like I need to add something to do with fiscal year. So let's go back to our ChatGTP. I'm showing you how we create a calendar table. Come here to ChatGTP, just tell it, enhance the table, with fiscal year computations. Fiscal year starts in April. Fiscal year starts in April. That's enough. So if it starts in July, you can say July. So it starts in April. AI is going to do its magic to make sure that it brings you exactly what you want and computed right. So I'm going to enter this. Remember, we are in the same chat, so it has the memory. I don't have to repeat over and again. So the moment I run that, it is going to rerun the other DAX. DAX is data analytics expression. It is going to run the DAX and even first explain to me your financial year runs April to March. Example, April 2025 is your financial year 2026 and March 2026 is your financial So this is the enhanced table. Let's take it, then we shall explain it from the other side. Copy this, go to Power BI, go and replace your calendar table. But remember, you do this when you are in your early stages. Don't build a dashboard and start changing these transformations. Otherwise, it breaks the visuals you had. So you can come on data table here and check out this calendar. Look out for its desk. You can expand it from here. Click Control A and Control V. Now here is it. Here they are telling us they are doing a calendar auto, which means they are reading one of our tables. They bring maximum and minimum. Then they are creating a variable of a physical start month, which is a 4. Now, they come and give us the other default ones. They have even called them key standards. Then they come here on the fiscal logic. Fiscal year starts in April. They will give you the year date, plus if the month date is greater than the fiscal month, which is number 4. Then they call it 1, which means they will give you that same year. If not, they give you the next year. The same thing with the year. This was the year number, the month number, the month name. You get, there is that computation that, like the month name, it is testing the date, and it tests if it is, they subtract the month, the fiscal start month. Those are the 12 months, they add 1. In other words, when they are getting the month name, they have to first test which year they are in, which you're in. Is it already April or it is less than April? Then it does that computation. Yeah, sometimes this one you can't redo it every time you're running a project. So that's why if I'm in finance, I will copy this and go to my text editor. You add your text editor, this is it, and save this as in my DAX. This is where I save some of the DAX that I will always want to repeat again, and call this calendar with FY calculations, and that's all. It means the next day I come, I'm running a data set that is more of finance calculations, P&L statements, what I will always want this. Now, how is this going to help us? Let's go back and see. Which means if I come here, instead of this, let's pick out the financial fiscal year and put it here. Obviously, here there are going to be many years, but let's put a filter here. Let's put a filter to filter years. Just I want to show you something. Then now this filter, we are going to put the year. This time we are going to put the ordinary year, not the fiscal year, as the value. This, oh, it is picking from 1990 that, which means it is not looking at our data auto. So since our data was running 2023, if I pick 2023, this is what I wanted to show you. Anyone from finance now can know exactly what it is doing here. So I've picked out a normal year of 2023, but in 2023, they are showing us that, let me put an annotation for me to, yeah. So just I'm picking an annotation such that I can easily mark for you what I'm talking about. Now, you see, we have filtered a normal year 2023, but in the normal year 2023, yes, we have 12 months. But they have come and segregated these two. There is this where the financial year 2023 ends and financial year 2024 starts here. This. So it means that if I'm already looking at the financial year, if we have already closed this financial year, it means that even I can go ahead and gray out this. Obviously, we shall see how we do this. You can go ahead and gray out these by giving them different colors. Obviously, we shall do that conditioning. And you just reflect the financial year you're in. Even you can pick the quarters depending on the financial year. If I pick the quarter, financial year quarter, and put it below that, you see that? You see now this one is being looked at as quarter number 4 because it is financial year 2023. Quarter number 1 starts here. Now if I selected even 2024 to have it clear, oh, it is selecting one single selection. So I come here, I remove single selection. Slicer settings, remove single selections. Then I can select two years. Sorry for the clutter, but we can reduce here as we said last time. I want to look at this. Now, when you look at this, it is showing us, though the years are not so much physical. This is 2024 financial year, the quarter 4. This is 2023 quarter 4. Quarter 4 ends in March. Then we start 2024 quarter 1 in April. Because we have already defined our financial year to start in April. Now, a simple tweak can change everything. I've gone in another company, they say, no, our fiscal year starts in July. I don't have to start everything over and again. So I just come to my calendar table. You see this variable they created, that was the best purpose of creating variables, that I can only change this 4 to 7 and all the other calculations follow the discipline, which means if I change this to 7, not 47, sorry, to 7, and I approve that and check it. Let's go back to our visual. Go back to our visual. Now, it automatically changed. Now you see our visual. Let me remove another here, such that it is clear for us. You see now our visual is showing us that July 2024, sorry, July 2023 is when we start our quarter 1 for financial year 2024. So those calculations become very easy and you can easily automate your data with DAX. I think now you can see the purpose of DAX just from the calendar table, but we have a lot we are going to do in the next module. So that's how DAX can help you to run such calculations with ease, not tying yourself to the normal year calculations January to December. I think I don't want to overstretch it, but I will request if there is any question. Obviously, the recording will be put together because I've recorded from the different gadgets. I will put them together, then attach it to that module. But in case there is any question, please, if you want the question to be on record, please go ahead and ask. Maybe it is something I've skipped, or it is something that we may refer into to our another session. That is, the session on Tuesday is going to be entirely DAX. We have done modeling. The next, what you want to know about modeling is go through those notes as I've shown you. It is going to give you more understanding what really data modeling is and why you should never skip data modeling when you're analyzing data. Do we have any questions? Or in the chat? Okay. I'm not sure whether I'm seeing everything. Yeah. Here, sorry, I've been missing out this. Kindly keep the meeting recorded. Why is the order? What makes my transform data button inactive on fetching data from the certain source? Your transform data button is inactive when you're transforming data from a certain source. I would want to know which source is that. But always, when you come to the Power BI interface, or it is the canvas, wherever you'll be, but it should always be on visuals, this should always be enabled. Maybe if you are selecting something else, but I'm not sure why it is. But in case you have that, please take for me a screenshot. We can always analyze that together and bring it to the attention of the other members. Christopher, there is info overload. Sorry. Sorry, that's why we have those 6 days. Guys, you have to create at least 30 minutes on a daily. You open this Power BI, even if you open and just look at it without holding your mouse. We need to do that on a daily. I know we may have time to review, but yeah, I know it is data overload, but that's why we record these calls such that you can review them in your pace to make sure that you keep trying out. Otherwise, if we are not on this pace, we have to be meeting physical, such that I look into your eye and I know that you're struggling to understand something. Otherwise, right now, I don't know who is still with me or who is not with me. But that's why I try to reduce on space and also keep repeating myself. But apologies to that, Victoria. Yeah, we shall have more like sessions to do review and do projects together. Those are our last sessions. Obviously, we shall have a physical session where we can come together, all of us, to make sure that. And learning does not end here in session. This is just awakening you that, by the way, this one exists. Then you go ahead and, even me, I'm still running. If I open my YouTube history, you'll see there are people I follow, like every time they drop something, I have to go there and see how they have done it. Sometimes to compare whether they are doing it the way I do it, or there is another way I can do it with ease, different from the way how I always do my stuff. So learning does not end. It is just a continued process. Otherwise, with all that said, if there is no any other question, I will just release you people to go. Apologies, we have taken exactly 2 hours because we started like 12 minutes, 15 minutes after 7. So otherwise, I wish you a good night, and I will be sharing our recording as